Weisselberg described his relationship with Trump as close but one-sided then. He said, I wouldn't go in there and just chit-chat, but if I had a reason to go in and discuss a business matter, we'd have a conversation. This is context for a very special guest we have to join our panel tonight, Tristan Snell, prosecutor who helped lead the investigation of Trump U. Thank you for joining us. Trump U famously was a business that gave out business advice that ultimately went out of business. So it wasn't a great smash success. But to Michael Steele's point, which you can pick up on, there is the view that even when caught, even to the tune of millions, the big guy tends to swim off. What are your insights on all of this from your experience there?
Well, we actually got a court decision in that case that he didn't swim off. We actually got a court decision in the intermediate level of that case before it settled, where it was decided that Trump and the Trump organization were liable for Trump University's misdeeds. So he doesn't always swim off. It's just that no one's really come at him this hard that often. And as for Cohen being the only one to turn, well, he's the only one or one of the only ones who's actually been indicted in Trump's inner circle. When things are actually hitting you and you're actually really seeing the prospect of being convicted of a crime, people's tune can change. So I think we're way too early to say that he's going to turn or not turn. I think once he's indicted, we could see a very different situation arise.
If he's indicted, although the Times says...
If he's indicted.
Weisselberg, right, although the Times says that...
If he's indicted. If Weisselberg's indicted, we could see a very different story. Yeah. Well, I'm going to let Michael respond to you because the orator that he is, I'm sure he has a rebuttal cooking. But I'll give you one more question before we bring him in, which is Weisselberg is someone that you dealt with in this manner. I'm reading here from Washington Post reporting. He oversaw the spending decisions at Trump U, the online program which drew those 3 lawsuits. The deposition in the case speaks to that. And so, you know, there are experts here who say Money Man only scratches the surface. He was at times basically the acting CEO. What, if anything, can you tell us about that based on your knowledge? And is that good or bad for him as he faces this heat? Well, first off, you can find out a lot about an organization, about a company, about a target without actually having them cooperate with you. So we were able to get a lot of information on how the Trump organization worked and Weisselberg's role in it, despite the fact that we did not have Weisselberg's cooperation. We never even felt like we needed to bring him in as a witness because we had already had enough knowledge of everything that we didn't really need Weisselberg, but we were still able to find the Trump organization liable. And a lot of why the judge in the Trump University case decided that Trump organization was liable was because of Weisselberg's very heavy-handed day-to-day control of the organization. Very much he was the acting CEO. I would also say that he was basically the COO, the chief operating officer of the Trump organization, a role which has never really been filled, at least not that I know of in the past 20 years. So the CFO, you know, they're the ones actually like keeping the books and tracking the P&Ls and seeing exactly what money's in and which businesses would die. At one point, the Trump University was not making very much money at first. And it was Weisselberg who actually had the Trump University people come in and say, hey, this business better start making more money or I'm shutting it down. He gave them an ultimatum. That came from Weisselberg, not from Trump. We think of Trump being the guy who runs around telling people you're fired. In real life, a lot of times it was Weisselberg who was the enforcer. He was not just the bean counter. He had a lot of power within the organization to determine what businesses were going to do what, which ones would actually go forward, and which ones would be shut down.
Michael?
First off, I'm not going to clap back on the Assistant Attorney General. That's number one. So the brother, he's got the cred. I'm going to rely on that street cred on the point. But 2, he actually just made the point I was probably not that well articulating. And that is, at the end of the day, Trump is in the game, but he's removed from the game. In other words, he's in the process, but he's removed from it.